3, 2, 1. Dr. Shabani,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm good. So,
I'm very well, thanks. For those who have missed us for a long time, with Dr. Shabani here, and I am very pleased to sit down with you and have a conversation with you.
likewise.
How does it feel to be a doctor?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels good in as much as, after every accomplishment, there's another one looking forward to you. So it's like a stepping stone into another one. And the other one comes with a lot of responsibility. The excitement, not only the title, but there's responsibility that comes with it. Responsibility and some expectations as well. So, but anyway, I'm excited to be given the opportunity to grow, as much as those expectations and responsibility await me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually quite exciting. When you say responsibilities, what do you mean?
Responsibility, I mean, is in both the academics and the industry. Because, when I say responsibility, that means you are given more work. They say to him, more is given, more is expected.
More is expected, yeah.
To him, who studies more is expected. Because now it's like saying, become a police person, yes, but then as your title goes up, there's more duties, and so it's just an entry to more responsibility. But obviously, the responsibility are not the same as while Steve is doing it, but you have to prove now the title. While you're doing it, you just try to acquire qualification, but now time to prove the qualification. It's like saying marriage is the only institution where you get the certificate
before you prove yourself. Yeah. So when you say you're going to you have to prove yourself, in academically, where do you get these belts? Who's assessing you?
Okay, what I mean
Or
by
is it because of maybe a project that you work on and you
Yeah.
prove that you're a doctor? in that?
What I mean by prove myself is not necessarily to people. It's proving myself first of all to the expectation of the qualification.
Okay.
You see, and it's not like you just get qualification, you're relaxed. No, you don't relax because you still have to grow in that position. And for you to go in that position, that's what I mean by that proving yourself. So I'm not just gonna fold my hands and just have the title, but there is no impact. So that's a proving myself. I'm trying to say there's no impact over time. Now I need to be able to be comfortable so that I can actually bring impact into the given qualification I have at the moment. So that's a proving myself. So I have to stand up and own it. Own it, not just by after acquiring, but own it now. That's what I mean by that.
Great. So before we go further, Doctor, I just want you to just let us what is it that you studied, and also expand on the topics that you did to acquire your doctorate.
Oh yeah, I did. I've done chemical engineering. This is just the conventional name they call it. But I can also refer to it as industrial process engineering as well. So that's what I've done. Anything that you see around you has been made artificially. And for it to be made artificially, there's a science behind it. There's also engineering behind it to get your raw material to final product. If you have this water here, water need to be recycled. Water need to be treated. So for it to be gotten from the initial state of how it is obtained and how you have to clean it, that's a processing that is involved. The same with papers. Papers are gotten from trees, but you don't just get trees,
Sure.
So anything like that. We have a lot of things. We have ink, we have pharmaceutical products, we have petroleum, we have many things that you can think of that naturally it wasn't there, but man-made artificially. So now for you to have them made in larger scale, that's where the chemical engineering comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you just, before you get into the topic that you talked about,
Yes.
so you said that you majored on industrial process engineering?
No, that I was just giving an
broader
overview of chemical engineering
Okay,
itself. Yes.
sure.
But myself, I'm specializing mostly on renewable energy.
Okay,
And specifically, I'm talking about transportation liquid fuel, renewable energy that addresses the transportation sector. That's what I actually measure on. Such as nowadays, we have petrol, for instance, we have diesel. They're all coming from crude oil. But then I'm actually not getting them from crude oil. I'm trying to get them from renewable sources, like organic sources, of which, like oil, oil is an organic source. Many things that are derivative from organic materials and plants as well. We can actually know there's a caloric value in them. And that caloric value, if I can refer to it, we can actually recover an energy from it. So that's what I actually measure on. I also measure material science. If you have any material around you, for me to identify what it is and what is it meant for, and then how can that material be processed into a certain valuable product. That's also an area of specialization. Water treatment on top of that. And I'm not only talking about domestic water treatment in a sink, of which obviously I can also, I have expertise on that, of which I'm thinking actually one day I don't have to buy water. I can just use the same water that I'm dropping to my sink and the shower as well. And see, especially if I have a big house, and see how I can recycle it back. I think this assignment I give to the third year student for now.
Oh, I see.
But I go as far as industrial wastewater treatment. Industrial, you have a lot of companies that use water on a daily basis and they discharge them after use. Mining companies, for instance, as well, causing a lot of discharge problems in the environment. And you find that most of them at times they don't meet the regulations to discharge these waters. And at times, besides just discharging this water, that's water, the same water that they're actually buying. It costs a lot of money for industry.
Which makes sense, because they have to bring the fresh water coming.
Domestic water is actually cheaper. I think it could even go for 3 cents.
Okay.
If not 3 cents, between 3 cents and 30 cents, just a liter. But industrial water, them, they purchase it even to about 3 rand a liter. So it's really quite expensive for them, companies, especially mining companies or just companies that use extensive amount of water.
Okay. So which means what you're doing now, you are trying to find alternatives for petrol. And for energy, when you said energy, that means you're talking about things like fuel.
Specifically transportation.
Fuel, right?
Yeah.
So why is that? Why are you looking for, what's this? Alternatives, yes.
It's a very evident question. It's a very obvious question. Why? Because remember, people have been complaining about the petrol price going up. Back then petrol, I think last year it was 17 rand, now it's 2 rand. It's 19, nearly 20 rand petrol.
Almost 20, yeah, true.
Why? Because we keep going up and up. And whenever there's an inflation in price, there are factors behind it. Of which one of them I can actually mention is because we are only depending on one source of energy, which is fossil fuel, for us to obtain our conventional petrol and diesel and many other products that comes from it. And you know that in South Africa you do not have the natural reserve for it, if I'm not mistaken, but mostly crude oil is imported from other countries. Now if someone can just use and find something around and use the same very raw material that is just easily found around and cheaper, why not use it? And then that cuts you down on cost of importing crude oil. And also, at the end of the day, it also gives you an opportunity of eliminating the monopolistic dependence on crude oil. And when you have more than one source supplying a certain product, even the product itself over time, it goes down in price. So
yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't like to have petrol for 10 rand because of us.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's actually a very beautiful initiative.
Yeah.
And what makes the research that you guys are working on different from the battery? What is because battery is also another alternative which they're using now,
Yes.
which is it's not necessarily batteries; it's also electricity because you have to charge the batteries. So what is the difference between the two, or if there's any similarities, you can also tell me all the similarities of that.
Yeah, but first of all, electricity, what I can say, the technology that comes with it is quite costly. The technology that comes with it. I'm talking about just building the battery,
Yeah.
you know, and the storages and all that. It's technology, and the cost of it is quite high. If I can mm, um, account on that, you see. And not only that, but also not everyone probably has access to electricity. Remember, I'm talking about a global project, which if you go to petrol station, it's something that has been traditional. I mean, using transportation fuel.
Yeah.
I mean, transportation liquid fuel. It has been there, and in as much as I believe that even the electricity has been there as well, but it's a technology that is actually now evolving only recently. So the advantage of it, it's obviously is cleaner enough. Even the one that's actually seeking as an alternative is cleaner, but then the cost to actually acquire it, it's easier enough that everyone can even be able to afford than electricity. And the electricity as well, when it comes to the, um, let me say lifespan. Let me say lifespan. What I mean by that is, I can drive all the way from here to Senegal as long as I have my fuel. Of which electricity, there's going to be a lot of intervals, a lot of interruption along the way. Let me say you may charge for the whole day, you only end up driving for 2 hours. Of which, if you use petrol fuel, liquid fuel, you can actually drive longer than that. Yeah. So those are the things that you're looking at, and also providing jobs, because electricity is more dependent. How many people? Just if you can charge in your house, you are actually cutting down on someone's job, of which what you are creating is also actually bringing employment, because it's depending on other people to come and be part of your work
Sure.
system. Yes.
Okay. And then in all this now that you have done this this study, how far are we from actually achieving that goal to replace petrol? And I think maybe the other question would be, when you make this design of this renewable energy, do you make it to have similar properties as petrol, so that at least you don't have to throw away all the old cars
Yeah.
and we still use the cars?
Yeah.
Because if imagine now you guys come up with
Oh yeah,
something
yeah.
very brilliant,
No, yeah, I see.
but it's not compatible
Exactly.
with the
Now,
cars now.
whatever you make renewable fuel, it still suits to the requirement of the engine that are used at the moment. And not only do they have similar properties, they even have some properties that are better than the ones that are currently. Now, for instance, you find that you have a certain percentage of sulfur in your petrol, and over time, even the knocking in the engine, it leaves out some knocking, some deposit over time because of things like sulfur and maybe carbon. But then, when it comes to the one that's renewable, the cleanness is cleaner than that. Cleaner. So not only that, no discharge or very minimal discharge of carbon into the atmosphere. I mean, carbon emission, of which now the ones that are used, they're actually emitting so much carbon dioxide, and what's happening as a result of that. Global warming. And global warming has several impacts because of any source that discharges carbon into the atmosphere. So that advantage we have actually over the one. That's one of it, yes.
Okay. So how far are we from getting this technology?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
like you said, it seems like there's the petrol industry, or I don't know what they call it, but it seems like there's quite a large what's this politics behind.
Yeah.
So, in terms of if you were to gauge yourselves in terms of the introducing of the technology and implementation, how far are we from implementing that?
Okay. At the moment, there's still actually a milestone to go. But what I can tell you that renewable energy in general, renewable energy, not only limited to petrol, even ethanol, which is used in other countries as fuel, biodiesel, biogasoline, there are many others. If you look at it in general, they actually encompasses about 10% of the global energy distribution. So 10% globally at the moment is quite showing promising towards its development as time goes by. So it's standing by 10%. But the major one is still the fossil fuel sources. So 10%. So people are trying to evolve to 15, 20. But it's not it could be a decade.
Oh, well.
Yeah, what I mean by decades, it could be, there are a lot of estimation studies that are showing that natural reserves for global, for fossil fuel, already been depleting, but natural reserves, there are a lot of studies and estimation that give it to about 10 years, in a decade or two, for it to be completely out. I mean, the reserves. And now, if we are not doing anything about it, we end up not having actually the very crude oil, because it's depleting at a faster rate than it's being actually generated.
Used, yeah.
So instead of just sitting down and wake up maybe 10 years from now, or 15 years, 20 years, and there isn't any natural reserve for the fossil fuel, how much of an energy crisis could that be or create? So that's why we are trying to, it's not just an alternative, but it's also to something that is being put to avoid the possibility of energy crisis in the future. Sustainable technology. So that's why, so it's not just an alternative as such, but also preventing the energy crisis that is due to happen. Of which, as I said again, not everyone will have access to electricity or maybe use this other technology. There are just a very few percentage of people.
Okay. Yeah. So I just want you to just let me know in terms of your doctorate journey, right? How was it? How was it like trying to? Not trying to. I don't want to use the word trying. Is how was it? Yeah, how was it like when the whole journey from either starting from your post degree? How was it, that journey like?
Oh yes, the journey at first was quite exciting, and there was also a panic as well, especially when you look at other people who have done doctorate before and look at their work. You open their thesis, you realize that no, can I be able to do this? How long will it take me to really write the whole book as they are doing it? That actually kind of threatened you at first. And even as I went through it, it was still challenging, because besides just the doctorate part, as you're doing doctorate already, mostly you are likely to be asked to assist in the department and also assist as a student in research work as well, especially those who are below you. So it takes you into doing other things, being involved in other things with students and research as well. But it's something that you build slowly, and you have to be very patient. And being very patient, emotionally you get drained. Emotionally you get tired, and you need to be able to balance your emotion. You need to be able to encourage yourself. You need to be able to beat the anxiety and the worries, because every day is expected of you to do something. So that was the journey. Every day there's something to do. There's never a day there wasn't anything to do. It's until you decide not to do anything. So the tiring part and the commitment part, where you are committed to something, whether you love it or not. I came to understand marriage by doing PhD.
Sure.
I came to understand a little bit of marriage when it comes to commitment. There are days you won't feel like it. But the work need to be done. It's a commitment. Like it owns you.
Yeah, love is a decision. Yeah.
I just hope I just hope and trust God I'll make it for marriage after this. But
Yeah,
you
definitely.
get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I do understand.
Yeah. So there's something that always stands your way. There's something that if you don't attend to it, more years are going. You define the years because you're doing it independently. You're doing it independently. There isn't necessary, in as much as your supervisor can give you an alert to tell you that no, I'm expecting this by this, but you are the main determinant factor to make that time happen. Otherwise, you keep doing every year. You register, you continue, but you're not still moving if you're too comfortable.
And then in terms of the funding, I think you once mentioned to me that without funding, it becomes very difficult.
Yeah, it becomes difficult.
So, in your case, how was it like? Did you get like the funding?
So it became difficult because even when I started my doctorate, I was still owing the institution from previous years for my masters.
Okay.
And I was not even allowed to register at first. But I don't know, miraculously, I think I had a certain deposit, and the deposit was not enough. Just to kind of a negotiation, they wanted more, but still along the way I managed to register. But then the funding I was still owing, even when I started. The only thing that I was pushing on the side of having money or finance is doing some part-time, either lecturing, part-time or tutoring or a teaching assistant, doing whatever I could to be able to not only fund myself individually, but at times using part of the money to pay into my fees. Yeah. Let me say if I make maybe 4,000, other guys, for all this, I'm going to maybe 2,000 into the fees. Some other times I get 4,000 or maybe 5. I put 3,000, 3.5 into the fees. And I cut down on the budget when it comes to other things. Like, guys, this month I'm not going to have shoes for the next 6 months. Sacrificial. That's how it goes. But then over time, as I kept on, my push was into publishing. And into publishing, as much as I applied to many funding opportunities, still I was not being assisted by it. Yeah. But God always made his way. And through many other publications continually, let me say one of my supervisors from UWC could come and say, okay, there's a portion of a certain amount from the research team that maybe this portion can cover your fees. While myself as well, I'm also doing what I can until I got even a part-time lecturing job and also assisting in summer schools. In summer schools, you can see that if you are sitting in summer school, at least it's a good money, and that money you must already dedicate it to the fees. That money can already be half of your residence. And I was always seeking for her to do something like that, especially on holiday, summer school and winter school, where you get that money and then you put into your fees. And when you come next year for registration, they let you in because they can see that you're at least doing an effort without having any formal bursary,
Yeah.
So over time, that's how I was actually going through it. And also the advantage of knowing people in other institutions, when it comes to analysis required to run the research itself, you may find that instead of always buying new things, that means I want to buy a new beaker. I do not necessarily have to buy it. I can just start to see what is it that someone has used before, but it's just lying there, but we do not know the value of it. And you clean it up and use it again. Some chemicals that cost a lot of money, reagent, for instance, you don't necessarily don't have to buy it. You can actually go and find out from all these different institutions. There should be someone who left one of the reagents in the cupboard. He just used maybe a little bit.
Sure.
And then the whole container is just lying in place. So by actually connecting with many students and finding out about knowing or trying to find out the people who are working in similar projects and the reagent that they may be likely to be using, that I was able to collect some chemicals. But research cost, it was also covered by my supervisor from UWC. But that I'm talking about before I got the research cost. Research cost is unlike the living, but it's just to cover up the cost to run the research.
Okay.
Yes.
So which means before you got the research cost, you had to find money yourself.
Yeah, I had to not really necessarily find money. I have to find means to acquire what is needed for that money to have done.
Okay.
Yeah, let me say, a money is needed for a certain equipment, but I do not have the equipment, but I can find someone who has a similar equipment using skills and help me to achieve the same result.
Results, yeah.
Yeah, always. I do not have a certain chemicals, but I only need a certain amount and try to search around and find who has it.
So when you're searching around, are you looking at friends of friends, or you're
Yeah,
looking
a
at
friend, and not only a friend
or
who,
colleagues?
yeah, colleagues from UWC, and also you also check the friend who has a friend. Also, people who are doing similar projects as you, who are likely to have the
To
same.
have those materials,
Yeah.
Okay. So wasn't how was that? How was that? The impact of that? Because now
Yeah.
you're looking forward to
Yeah.
being a doctor,
Mm.
and you're going through all these ordeals of trying to get material, if it's material
Yeah.
or
That was mostly when I was
equipment.
doing masters. Yes. At least
Okay.
PhD, I'm grateful because the UWC team actually came on hands on assisting me with research cost.
Mm.
But at the beginning, actually, or let me rather say masters, that way it was quite draining because, but the good thing is I was doing it full time.
Mm.
Draining, but I also had to be creative. You can still hit the same target, but just be creative and doing the same, something different. Yeah. If I cannot get a bottle to drink water, what can I think of to achieve the same outcome of drinking water?
Sure.
I'll come out and check what is there that I can actually put together and still collect water and drink. There's those times that came, actually, I had to actually be as creative as possible.
Mm.
But then, when you realize that it's your work, and as much as the institution is involved, but there's also an independent part of you.
Mm.
The institution is willing to help, yes, but at times, there's certain things that take a little bit long. You need your work done quickly, and you have to probably wait until maybe 6 months, while you want the work to be done. So while you're waiting, which that can be done, while waiting for the formalities and acquisition of funding and all that to fund the project, then you have to do something. Yes. The feeling when you realize that it's your own work and your life has to move on based on that,
Mm-hmm.
then even don't put a blame or you don't put any anxiety on whether you are at the institution or not. No, you consider yourself as part of the institution, also playing a part in resolving the problem by the means that is available. Yes.
Okay. So now, if I were to compare
Mm.
between masters and PhD,
Mm.
which one is more difficult, and in your own way, in terms
Yeah.
of which one did you enjoy doing the most?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can say still even masters quite challenging for me.
Okay.
Quite challenging for me. My PhD was harder when it comes to the part of compiling the whole thesis. It was harder and took me longer.
Mm.
So masters was also hard, but not relatively as compared to PhD. PhD was harder because even the workload, the experimental part of the work was more. You see, you go a little more extra mile for your PhD than masters. I told you, master is more just about the acquisition of the skill because it's your first time from doing coursework,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to acquire that ability to research.
Okay.
And the topic that you probably can be working on, it doesn't have to be necessarily something that is very novel. It doesn't have to be something that you're trying to create something out of. No. You're not trying to create a knowledge. It's either you're just trying to validate a knowledge. It's either you're trying to examine the knowledge, but you're not restricted if you become creative in that. Yes, but what is expected on you is not really creativity, of which a PhD now is not just about the validation of knowledge, but it's also the creation of knowledge. That means it's not only research, but it's also development. That
Mm.
means finding up a certain gap, and also your work should be identified by what is it that you're providing, or what gap that you identify, and the solution that you are providing. It's only you that is known by that. It's like your
Mm.
fingerprint. That means
Okay.
if you read any other book or any other articles, information on the topic that you are specializing on, you are the one who's known for that particular part.
Oh, which makes sense now.
Mm.
Why they start talking about things like brain surgery.
Yes.
That is, there's only this doctor who did this brain surgery, or
Yeah, brain surgery can be done broadly by many other people.
yes, I mean like, but the person who started it, that's where they actually
Yeah.
recognize them.
Yes.
So that's where the development part
And then
comes
the development comes now.
in.
Here comes Elon Musk talking about chips,
Mm. Mm.
you know, neuron chips.
Mm-hmm.
You see, now there's a little bit of a development on the
From
brain.
the first one, okay.
Yeah,
yes,
from
yes,
the
I
first
understand,
one.
yeah.
That means he's the one who knows. He's known for the chips now.
Also, which means you guys, you kind of like find a gap
Mm.
and just develop on
Yes.
that gap and just
Well,
specialize on
yeah,
it.
that means you must
Okay.
first be able to identify the gap.
Okay. Talking about, so now you say that the one that you enjoyed the most is, did you tell me which one they enjoyed the most? But you said masters was easier
Then, yeah,
compared to,
yes, compared to PhD.
yes.
Yes.
And then which one did you enjoy the most?
Which one I enjoy the most? When it comes to the experimental hands-on work. I don't know if you.
In terms of let's say, in terms of when you look back, you're like, okay, I think I liked this season. I like the time when I was doing my masters more, or I like the time when I was doing.
Oh yeah, I see. I like the time I was doing my PhD more than
Okay.
the masters.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it why?
Because of the hands-on part.
Okay.
The hands-on, you have to go to the field, you have to go to the lab. There's a lot of hands-on. Yeah, collecting data. You see, collecting data, a lot of hands-on. To achieve a certain result, you do so much. You do so much. You spend a lot more hours to do that. And the fact that at the moment I was doing my masters, I did not have a supervisor. My supervisor started with me, but over time, in less than 6 months, he resigned from the institution. So I was left without a supervisor. So I had to figure things out by myself as well. So the guidance into my masters was more independent guidance. So that what made it a bit also difficult for me. But I mean, for the masters part, that's why I said at the end of the day, PhD is the one I enjoy more. Yes.
I don't know where I heard this from, but I think your project was one of the best, which was recognized by CPUT, right?
I wouldn't say that because I did not really do my presentation except one by CPUT, and I wasn't part of any except one presentation that we did at CPUT, and also I wouldn't say much in terms of it being the best one because not everything was disclosed from the project. We still kept some information that I need to look through and probably publish as well as time goes by. So I didn't want to put myself out there in many conferences where I disclose my information in as much as we can be ranked based on that. Yes. So I would not really know about that information.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's something that just was approved by the faculty after many reviews and after many proposals. I mean, after the proposal and many presentation reviews, like 3 presentation reviews, it was approved.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's quite interesting. So, you know what I like about you is, sometimes it's very easy for us to just talk about doctorate and
Yes.
and pushing from varsity, and because now you're a doctor. So, what really interests me is your story. Your story is quite interesting. When I talked to you the other day, you were like, okay, this is how everything started. And maybe before I get to your story, why chemical engineering? Why did you choose chemical engineering?
Yes, I think I got inspiration to do chemical engineering via school exhibitions when I was still doing grade 10. I was exposed to a lot of career expositions, and not only career exhibitions, because I was also doing math and science, and I happened to have been among the top students in my high school. And from there, we were given opportunity as top student to go and represent the school in different competitions like Olympia, and also we got a chance to go to have gone to Kimberley to visit Patrice Motsepe's mine. So mining, when you get so exposed to that,
Yeah.
competition gets so exposed to that, and the chemistry as well, the love of chemistry, which is the basic science to chemical engineering. So those are the things that actually, sparked my interest
Yeah.
to doing chemical engineering. And also the reality of it is chemical engineering encompasses for other engineering. That I can say. There's always an aspect in chemical engineering that talks of other engineering. Civil, mechanical engineering, industrial engineering, and what other engineering can I talk about?
Yeah, I think you are right in terms
So
of
it's like a
it's like a
center.
basis, yes. It's like a
Yeah,
basis, a
it's a
foundation
center
of
to it, and it goes as far as not only that, it goes as far as to business as well. Business aspect.
true.
It goes as far as management aspect. It goes as far as computer skills aspect. So it's a center that I actually preview, and actually I've been able to see it as well. So, sorry,
Bless you.
it goes as far as horticultural sciences, landscaping.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see the science, whenever you have to put a seed and make sure that the seed produces a tree. Remember, a seed is just the raw material.
Sure.
Just like I told you, raw material. A tree is the raw material for papers.
Yeah.
A seed is the raw material, and
Definitely.
then you put it into the ground and you process it over time. And you make sure that you monitor the processing phases until the whole tree comes out. So we go as far as medical sciences as well. You make a lady pregnant, there's a process
Yeah.
for that sperm to turn and ovulate the egg, and fertilization taking place until you have a baby. It's a process, but that's a natural process. But then any natural process can be mimicked. This is where chemical engineering is coming.
Okay.
We have alcohol in our body that get produced.
Okay.
Yeah, because we eat a lot of sugar and all that. There's alcohol that get produced in the body, even carbon dioxide as well. But then you find that obviously this isn't because the body needs alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope people are not getting me wrong.
Yeah.
The body needs alcohol. It's a
Sure.
there are certain functions that goes with alcohol. But then I don't say the body doesn't need excess alcohol. That's excess alcohol. That's now another thing. Now.
Yeah. Sure.
So you can see that there's alcohol produced within the system when there's fermentation. The sugars, you see, and bacteria, fermentation, alcohol, which is specifically ethanol. And that ethanol, like I said, is also contains energy. And that energy can be used for something. You see, the body, for instance, when you have fat building up, there's energy that is produced. The energy that now you have to find a way on how to exercise to get rid of it. That energy in the body can be used to produce electricity. So energy is not only limited to chemical engineering, where it's being produced from a certain source. It goes as far as biology and medical field, pharmaceutical industry. Whatever you buy as a product, it wasn't like that naturally. So you see the interest in chemical engineering, it navigates you in every other aspect of life, and you can still find yourself among other specialization or studies. That's what actually sparked my interest over time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what I'm actually finding out is you knew what you wanted. I even love the way you're explaining it now. I can see that you actually love chemical engineering. I think it makes sense now that you're a doctor in one of the fields, which is renewable energy, and I believe there's something big that's coming, and and in terms of the renewable energy, you can't really disclose certain things, just like you mentioned, because
Let me rather say what cannot be disclosed is mostly the formulation. Formulation, even it's more technical that even if you give it to someone who doesn't understand it,
oh,
they
I
won't do
see,
anything
I
about
see,
it.
yeah. So can you
Yeah.
mention the raw materials of what you're using to create
Yeah,
the
yeah, that's what I was saying now. You see, I can talk about when you talk about renewable energy,
Mhm.
um, things that exist in nature. Specifically, I'm talking about biomass sources.
Okay.
That's one of them. Biomass, why are they renewable? Why? Because they grow in nature. They grow in nature. I mean, there won't be a time where they're actually running out.
Mm.
God created the world, created the earth, and automatically you have trees that grow.
So there's that cycle, so which
Exactly.
makes it renewable.
Renewable.
Okay. So,
But
but
then
still,
God did not directly create crude oil.
okay.
Crude oil is just an outcome of decay, organic decays. Let me
Sure.
say animals and plants. They decay over many years. I mean, they get buried and under pressure for over 500 years to 800 years. And then they get harnessed because of the pressure and then they turn into coal, oil, and gas.
Yeah.
But naturally, God did not create that. See, now, how long does it take for it to get converted? And then that crude oil comes out.
Yeah.
That natural gas comes out.
Sure.
So it's not directly, naturally obtainable. But renewable is something that you can even plant it in 2 days, in less than 3 months or 2 months. You can actually get it.
Mm.
That's what makes it renewable.
Sure.
Yeah. So am I answering the question actually?
No, you are touching on the question just a bit, because the question was so you can't really disclose.
Oh yes, actually, I just mentioned the
the
biomass.
material. So
The
so
biomass.
basically in terms of, you can just answer
Yes.
it in general that
Yeah.
it's a biomass.
I just say biomass for now. Why? Because remember, the market is more into the certain which biomass. So that's where I can also not disclose.
Disclose, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's yet something that need to be developed, and also because of the confidentiality between me and the people who are collected him.
Yeah.
So that makes it a bit, at the moment, not really talk much more about this specifically to mention
Yeah.
the source.
I respect that. We want you to own all these rights and change Africa for
Yeah,
us.
and I'm not really monopolistic about it,
Yeah.
but it's something that you still need to be given value.
Mm.
And if it is to be given value, that means you have to be able to also cover it a little bit more until you get to a formulation so that people can actually value. You see, the value, not because of selfishness, but because of growing the value and preserving the value. That's a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that people can value it, and also you're putting value on it as well. So yeah.
No, I'm just looking forward to that time where whether it be the next 10 years or next 20 years, and then I'm just seeing Professor Shabani there.
It's funny
Yeah.
when people hear about professors and doctors, like at the back of their minds, like you are becoming a lecturer,
Mm.
and the fear and the challenge that comes with hearing professor.
Okay.
Many people are like, nah, not for me.
Mm.
You know what I told you last time? I said to you that no, everyone is a specialist. At the end of the day, we all specialize in something.
Okay.
Whether you're a doctor formally, you're still going to be a doctor informally in
Yeah.
something.
Okay.
Anything that you ponder on after you've received your general qualification, and you ponder on and focus on for the entire rest of your life, that becomes your specialization. I believe so. That becomes your specialization. At the end of the day, we always narrow into something that you end up doing more for the rest of our lives. That even when you're sleeping, someone, you can even talk, you can even say it out. So whether you do doctorate or by school or by academics means or not, you're still gonna be a doctor into something. I say,
I think you're right there. when you say that you'll become a doctor in something at a point.
Mm.
Whether you're a musician, you do
Yeah,
music, you become a
they
doctor.
become a doctor in
You
it,
become a specialist in
specialist in it, because now
Yeah.
you have to think of being creative.
that.
If everyone has been singing as onto and how's music in this way, now you have to think, how can I add on top that no one has not done?
Yeah.
And there are many of them actually that come out. They dedicate their lifetime. I mean, they dedicate more than 10 years of their life doing it.
Sure.
Of which PhD doesn't even take you 10 years. Doesn't even take you more than 4 years if you're dedicated. But people are putting 10 years, 20 years into something. So they are still doctors. Dr. Malinga.
Yeah.
They're still doctor in it. Whether you do gangsterism,
Mm-hmm.
you do drugs in the streets, you know the corners, you know what are the better products, you know the better ways on how not to be caught.
Yeah.
The fact that you know the better ways how not to be caught, that means you've been also
You've been a master, so you've been pondering on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I call you. I ordain you as doctor.
I think it makes sense why they also there's this thing, this honorarium doctorate,
Oh,
where they honor you. Let's say maybe as a school say that okay, we're gonna give you a doctorate in whatever. I think it's actually quite nice as well.
yeah. You can look at it. If you look at it, you see that's what I'm talking about. Still, someone can be a doctor in as much as he did not do it by academic means, but the work. Remember, the specialization. Specialization is when I'm actually attending to it, and while someone is just part of his calling, part of his daily work, and you find himself actually doing it for many years, and he has achieved by doing it. That's an honorary doctorate. That's a doctor in a way, specializing and providing solution. Yeah, when I'm thinking about specializing and providing solution.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like say when you become the doctor of your wife's heart.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Eh?
Yeah.
You become the doctor of her heart
Yeah.
because you know her for many years, and you know how to go about her. You know how to, still specializing in her heart on
Yeah.
how to make her
Yeah.
happy.
I think you have some really nice nuggets.
Let me be the doctor of your heart.
Yeah, I think you could really be a very good doctor of love. You can just help a lot of people.
I think we should call for another podcast.
Just to talk about that side of things. That's actually quite nice. Yeah. So, doctor, this is what I like about you is the achievements that you have had now. They didn't come cheap. They came out of a lot of determination and focus. Because you mentioned to me that when you left your home country, which is DRC, Congo, you left at a very young age. I just want you to just explain how was that feeling of leaving home to say you're going to pursue this. So what was the reason of you leaving? And let's say you can also tell me how old were you at the time when you left home?
Yeah, I think I was still a teenager. I was just 14 towards 15. Yes, any time I left home. And it was actually exciting. What I mean by exciting is because at first I didn't know that I was actually coming to South Africa. I just knew of an opportunity that I need to pursue somewhere else. And that was in Mozambique, if I recall well. Yeah. That's the second leaving of home. I also left home earlier than that. But then still I left my grandfather's, that's a home where I was also taken at a younger age. But I left there. But then the incident of leaving that side was more to joining my father. And not only joining my father, but because also of the political wars that were involved in the east of Congo by then.
Yeah.
So that was the first leaving. And then from that first leaving, I was headed towards my father. And then over time, the opportunity now. Look at the opportunity in as much as yeah, you have a living, but it's always a better opportunity somewhere, which is more valuable. I mean, whatever skill or whatever you do would be more valued. So leaving home was the exciting part, was the opportunity being pursued, which was being headed to Mozambique. And the guys that I was actually connecting with, they were working for a logistic company.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, they managed to they were planning to own their own logistic, big trucks, and transporting stuff, import and export, from Southern Africa to East Africa and Central Africa as well.
Yeah.
So I saw myself over time, I'll be like one of the boys who's traveling with them and then assisting them, and over time I can also tune in
Yeah.
into the company. You see, that's what I'm saying, yeah. But then things didn't go accordingly.
Mm.
As much as a young age, normally they're supposed to have put me into their, have me as their son.
Mm.
So I was trying to see if they can actually claim me for nationality, so that things can be easy for me as I get to Mozambique. But unfortunately, that process ended up not being viable.
Straightforward, yeah.
Yes. Along the way, things happened that got me a bit illegal in terms of immigration, the identity as well. So that's where the pursuit to do that was actually interrupted. Yes.
So in that time, you getting your way to Mozambique. So when you left home, you wanted to be in logistics and join someone in the logistics. And where were you? Did you get trouble now? Because how were you getting moving from home to Mozambique? How were you getting there?
Yeah, as I said again, I got in contact with those guys. The two of them. So when they were traveling from East Africa going back to South Africa,
Yeah.
that's where I was hooked with them. So
Okay.
that on the second time when they come back, they pick me up. So they managed to pick me up, and then after picking me up, we had to travel. But then traveling was not legally done. Yeah, I chose traveling, and then that as you travel, you just hide from one point to the other. Yeah, because you can well be accommodated in this transportation like trucks.
Yeah, yeah.
So that if you know that you are reaching at a certain post, either border post or immigration post, I was this tidy, so I know where to hide, and they knew where to put me.
Yeah, yeah.
But then, unfortunately, there was just one part where I could not hide enough, so that's where I was caught, and that was interrupted my pursuit to actually being to working with them.
So which means that being caught meant being detained or being in prison.
Yes, being yeah, I can say being in prison.
Yes.
Yes, being imprisoned, and also the fact that not being caught, also being with identification.
Yeah.
Being found that the identification that the guys were trying to put me into, I was not actually their actual son. And they did not finish with the acquiring all the identification they were trying to get for me. So because of that, I was kept in prison for some time.
And then you are young and you had an idea of where you're going. Did you know who you were going to on the other side, and did you have any means of communication just to at least try to alert everyone, okay, this is where you are?
For nearly a month, I did not have a communication with my either family, because I did not have a means of communication as well for nearly a month. But I believe those guys somehow, when they reached either Joburg or Mozambique, I'm sure they were able to communicate to my family. So at least they knew that he was detained somewhere. So that me, I was not the one who was able to communicate to either of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
And then were you detained once, or was there specific place where you were detained? Were you only detained once?
I was able to pass through many other posts. It's only one eventually.
Mm.
Yeah,
And then where was that?
Botswana.
In Botswana.
Mm.
So how long were you detained when you were there?
About 4 months.
4 months.
Mm.
And then how was it like?
At first, it was hard. The environment that you're not used to and the people.
Mm,
And just being in one place where you feel like your life is now stuck. And you're actually wondering, when am I going to come out of here? Because I end up not going to school. I end up not having a life or a future because you don't know how long it's going to be there.
yeah.
At first. But over time, got used to it.
Mm,
They're getting used to it. Obviously, you meet with people, they, in as much as they are all different people, but over time, you get used to it. Just in about a month, I was already getting used to it. And not only getting used to it, I also had people who protected me. The fact that I came when I was younger, I was able to be identified easily. Now, here comes older people, older men, people that have been there for years,
yeah.
and who actually had that sympathy. And as a result of that, like, no, this young boy can chill with us.
Yeah.
You see, this young boy can chill with us. And that's a kind of a protection now because those guys, I mean, people are known for, who have stayed there for more than 2 years.
Mm.
You see. And the exciting part is the social part. Because there was a time where we had to go play soccer. And, I was known now for playing soccer now.
Sure.
And for being known for playing soccer, it made me a little bit popular as well. And, fans. And as much as I was young, but I was able to score among the older men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were the top goal scorer when you were in.
I wouldn't say that but I don't remember of anyone being mentioned as top goal scorer.
Yeah.
But I was contributing to goals.
Oh, I see.
Not only contributing, scoring as well.
Sure. And then now that you're there, how do you move on from there? How do you get to go out from prison?
Yeah, normally I thought, according to what the papers and other people that had similar cases as me usually spend more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are made there with paper for 2 years and 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, there was a lady who came from the United Nations and who found out that I was there. And there are guys also who left before me, just like 3 weeks after I came. They went to do their best outside so that they can be able to contact various people and see how can I be assisted. And those guys, they knew of an information of a lady coming from the United Nations. So they came visit me by themselves, and then they told me that no, more or less there's a lady who's going to come and visit this place. And you have to be strategically. You have to be strategic. That means they tried to organize a certain meeting for me to come out of the cell. So that I can, when you are allowed to say, let me say you are sick. And it is your right for them to come and pick you up from the cell. Obviously, the guards will not be around until they take you to the van. But before you go to the van, there's an administration where they have to just put some paperwork.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. You can do that. So they gave me ideas as what I should do, so that when that lady comes, I should be at the admin point. So the lady she won't come into the cell. She's only going to end by the admin and go to a certain office.
Okay.
But then I need to be positioned in such a way that when she's there, I should be noticed. And once I'm noticed, and I'm younger, for that age, I'm not supposed to be there. At least the United Nations, they're going to apply their own set of rules as for the minors.
Yes.
And that's what actually helped me. And it worked. Yeah. They told me when you get there, the administration, just cry out so loud. You know what I mean by crying out so loud?
Okay.
So the whole building should hear you.
Yeah. So that was the plan.
The guys came and sit me down.
Sure.
Including the guys who left and came back to
Yes.
visit.
Just to
and
give
those who were there inside.
Yes. So in your mind, you're doing all these things. So does she find you? What happens when you after you screamed?
Yes, I was actually noticed.
Yes.
Yeah. And after being noticed, the case went further to find out who is this. Yes. And by finding out who is this, then I had to be called to be interviewed by the lady. Yes. And I was also told by the guys what is that I should actually bring about when I'm doing my interview. Yes. And that lady now, she had to advocate for my case. She works for human rights in the United Nations. And after advocating for my case, then they had to process my way out of the prison. That's one thing. And then that's how the processing went on. Until they made me a traveling document for deporting me back to the Congo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from there onwards, you did you head straight to South Africa or?
No, I was deported towards the Congo. But when I got to Zambia, I was denied entry to Zambia because I need to get to Zambia for me to reach Congo.
Yeah.
But I was denied visa.
Okay.
In Zambia. So that means if I'm denied visa, they're supposed to also deport me back to Botswana again.
To Botswana again, yes.
But then when I noticed that they denied me visa, I had to find my way now by the border. I didn't want to go back to Botswana because they were taking me back there. Because now it's going to be a long story and he's spending a year. Because that lady, while he left already, who was actually working on the case.
Yeah.
So when you go to Zambia, they were trying to discuss my matter about the immigration. And, who brought you here? Because what the police did from Botswana, they just dropped me by the border. And then I had to cross the Zambezi. They put you in a boat, you cross the Zambezi and you are on the other side of Zambia. And then the guys, they went.
So they just dropped you there?
Yeah. But normally what Zambia expected is them to come with me.
With papers explaining everything. Yes.
But they didn't do. They just dropped me. And here is the ship. Here is the paper traveling. Then when I go the other side of Zambia, they see a young person. They're like, what's happening? And who are the guys who brought you? So now that's going to create another conflict now with me to being in Zambia. So when they were talking, trying to say, okay, wait here. Your first attend you some people, your case need to be looked at. Let me say you have to pass this house for you to enter another country.
Yeah.
But you are waiting by the passage. But then what I had to do now, like, no, this case is going to cost me. I was really thinking. So what I had to do is, I noticed a group of tourists were coming out. Actually, they were saved first. There was still a queue. A group of white tourists were coming out. So when they came out, I walked in between them as if I was
part of the group. Yeah.
You know when you're about to enter a race, and you know they won't allow you. Wait for the group to come in so that you walk in as well as the student.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And then I walked with them. That's why. And the guy did not notice me. They thought maybe I just followed them. And that's why I go to Zambia. So I had to enter Zambia illegally because I was not approved for the entry. And go to one of the cities. That means after entering, I look for the nearest taxi. Luckily, I had some money because when I was in prison, the guy who left before me and visited me gave me the information.
Okay.
They also came and put money.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. But the money you put, you are not given the money directly, but it's put into your account. There's a prison account whereby whatsoever that you do, when you're caught, they caught you with maybe cell phone, whatever you had, they keep it somewhere under your name.
Yes.
And someone is allowed to visit you and bring you something.
And just leave it on your account.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I got to Zambia. But then I could not persist to the Congo because there were too many roadblocks. I'm talking about migration.
Yeah.
But the furthest I could go is to go to a town called Kitwe. And from there, I knew someone that was back then, was still on my way coming. And someone that was coming from the Congo but was staying there. I knew someone, and I used to stop by them. While I knew that I did not have papers to further me towards Congo. And when I was there now, I used to stay there for nearly 2 to 3 months in Zambia while trying to sort out my papers.
Sure.
And that's what the motive now to try again and come back to South Africa to join those guys.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So you got the motive. So after getting the motive, how then do you get this side? Do you also find
the motive? When you say you left home, everyone knows that you left home. They don't even know that you are in prison somewhere. And going back suddenly, like, they thought maybe you left. So those are the motives. But now going back this side, that's another story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But then over time, the guy who actually hosted me, he also helped me to acquire traveling document.
Sure.
And this time not using the Botswana's way, but using the Zimbabwe's way. So I can actually get insurance back.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you get this side, and I think that's what I like about your story is you is against all odds, and the beauty of life now is you've overcome all these hurdles, and now you're a doctor. That's why the first question that I asked was, how does it feel to be a doctor?
Yes.
So coming back, I'll maybe want to ask that question again. How does it feel to be a doctor after all these ordeals that you had to
Yes.
deal with?
Yeah, it feels like a dream can be achieved. Any pursuit can be achieved. And it also reveals that no, I'm able to pursue any other things. You see, it gives me that confidence. You see, giving me that confidence, being able to achieve anything, and the confidence also of inspiring other people. Yeah, whom have everything around them, probably they do not see that, and we just need an open eye. Yes. So the feeling is confidence, and also empowering others through that. Yes, that it feels. So, and also it gives me a certain approach to life that is educative. Yeah, a certain approach to life. The same way I approached resolving a certain problem, the same way I'm looking at it from being a doctor, a certain approach to resolving a life. And also setting yourself a challenge and finding ways on how to resolve the challenge. So it makes you fearless as far as the challenge is concerned, and being able to stand up to facing the challenge and solving the problem.
Yeah, because I think in my I don't want to say experience, but in my understanding is, for a person who has went through that character building experiences, I don't think there's anything that can stop you.
Yes, there isn't, provided that also I keep meditating. Meditating is to have a reflection of where you come from, and also keeping up the mind and developing the mind. Because when you tend to forget the steps and what you've
Where you're
been
coming
doing,
from, yes,
you know, a mind is something that needs to be reminded, something that needs to be motivated, and using a certain image or using a certain weight, a certain guidance to keep pushing you. So I look back. This far is gone. What did I do? And if I want to go further and do even better, what more should I do? So there's a lot of education in it. Just not because of that, but it also in many other things, aspects in life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really agree with that. That as I was saying, that there's nothing that can actually stop you. The ability, sorry about that. The ability to maintain focus for that long, and not only that, but also be successful, because not everyone is a doctor. By the way, we went to school, but we didn't get to the point where we say, okay, we want to be doctors. And even the way that you're explaining how you got to be a doctor, you can see that you were jumping hurdles, you were making things happen, and now you're a doctor. And the discoveries that you have done in renewable energy, and I think the last time I talked to you, you talked about making an impact to either the country or to the things around you. And I'm convinced that you will have that impact in South Africa and with everyone around you. And I'm super pleased to meet you. And I'm just one fan, just cheering.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just cheering
Exactly.
behind you. That
Exactly, because I see a lot of young people.
Yeah.
I see a lot that are still trying to pursue what we are pursuing,
Sure.
and it doesn't just come with the means. Let me say, in as much as you'll be financially supported, but mentally, mind. You see, it's a lesson that you're probably not given in education on, but it helps you once you learn about it, still to achieve your pursuit as well.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I would have to probably also empower young people on. And beside the resources, how do you stand without resources? How do you stand independent of the resources? But then it's now depending on the inner you to bring the outside. You see? Yes.
Yeah. That's very beautiful, Doctor. I think this was very nice having a chat with you. And definitely we'll have another chat when you have cracked
no problem.
the biggest the biggest challenge that we have now.
There's one more to talk about,
Yeah.
Sometimes, we wouldn't know, or you wouldn't remember that they won't just come out now because
Yeah.
there are a lot, there are a lot, depending on the question and when they're remembered.
Yes, definitely. But it was nice meeting you, Doctor. Have a wonderful night. And we'll chat again. I don't know if there's anything that you want to tell, if maybe advise young people out there, maybe leave them with a message.
Yes, my message is, my message is understanding life, and at the end of the day, whatever you do, it's all pointing towards something. And whatever that is pointing towards is to the benefit of women. Yeah. Be it a career, you can do it, yes, and that career can just also be a channel to set you up to fulfill a certain mandate to human beings. In as much as we have professions and we come out a certain position, but still it's beyond that.
Just hold on.
There's beyond that. Yes.
Yeah.
There's beyond that that has to do with contribution to society.
Yeah.
So life is structured. Life has an outcome, but the outcome is dependent on the input put in everything. So that's actually the do is you bring to the process and you see what comes.
Yeah.
If what comes out is not good, then you have to double check the process and also your input.
Yeah, that's quite profound. It's really profound. I really like that, and I believe people are listening, and whoever is listening this, you'll be blessed by this. And thank you very much, Dr. Shabani, and keep well.
Likewise.
All right, cheers.